Have you ever felt as though the life you're living doesn't quite feel like your own? As if, in some way, you're following a script laid out by others, parents, teachers, friends, society, and somewhere deep within, there's a voice shouting that something isn't right. You go through the motions each day, wear the same familiar mask, meet your responsibilities, and engage with others as though everything is perfectly normal. Yet eventually, when the quiet settles in, that unsettling question emerges: who am I, really? Jung believed that this sense of disconnection was no accident. In fact, he saw it as a sign of a deeper issue, one that few have the courage to confront. Many spend their whole lives never truly discovering who they are. They confine themselves to social roles, fabricated identities, and the expectations placed upon them. And the most tragic part, they convince themselves that this is all life has to offer. They leave this world never having met their own soul. And now comes the most important question. Is this happening to you? What you call self may not be you. Your personality, your desires, your beliefs. How much of this is truly yours, and how much of it was placed there by others? Since childhood, we have been conditioned to fit in, to become acceptable, to hide certain aspects of ourselves in order to be loved. We create a mask, or as Jung called it, a persona, a social disguise that we use to protect ourselves. But the more we wear this mask, the further we drift away from our true selves, and one day this mask becomes all that is left of us. But Jung warned us, living disconnected from who we really are comes at a cost paid with anguish, dissatisfaction, and a constant feeling that something is missing. Have you ever had the feeling that no matter how much you accomplish, there's still a lingering emptiness, as though something vital is always just beyond your grasp? This happens because what you're truly searching for isn't out there. It doesn't lie in a better career, an ideal relationship, or in the approval of others. It resides within you, hidden beneath countless layers of conditioning. The real question is, are you ready to dive into your own mind and uncover who you truly are? Because this path is far from easy. To find your true self, you must face everything that's been buried, ignored, or twisted over time. It means turning inward and confronting the parts of yourself you'd rather not see, but at the same time, it's the only way to truly set yourself free. In this video, we will explore the journey that Carl Jung called individuation, the process of becoming whole, of integrating all parts of yourself and finally living according to your true essence. Are you ready for this? Then let's begin. From a young age, you were taught that in order to be accepted, you had to act in specific ways. Maybe you learned to always be polite, to keep your voice down, to suppress your anger, to put others first. Or perhaps you were taught that you had to always be strong, to hide your vulnerabilities, and appear confident even when doubt consumed you. Without even realizing it, you started to build an identity that wasn't entirely your own, but rather a mirror of what the world expected from you. Carl Jung referred to this mask as the persona. It's the face you show the world, the version of yourself you've crafted in order to belong. And make no mistake, we all have one. If you've ever behaved one way at work, another at home, different still with friends, or curated yourself online, then you've already witnessed the persona's influence in your life. Is it helpful? Certainly. Without it, social interaction would be nearly impossible. But there's a serious risk. When you fully identify with this mask, you begin to lose sight of who you truly are. Take a moment to reflect. How often have you said or done something simply to gain acceptance? How many times have you held back your true thoughts, afraid of being judged? How many times have you forced a smile when deep down you felt like screaming? This happens because somewhere along the way, the persona stopped being just a role and started to take over your life. life. You're no longer living as an authentic individual. You've become a character in a script you never consciously chose. And this is where the real problem lies. The persona is incapable of nourishing your soul. It may offer acceptance, but not true fulfillment. It might earn you praise, but never lasting happiness. Over time, living only through the persona leads to a hollow existence. One where you sense something vital is missing, yet you can't quite put your finger on what it is. Even worse, the more tightly you hold onto this mask, the farther you stray from your true self. But if the persona is not your true self, then who are you really? To answer this question, we need to look at the other side of the coin, at the part of you that has been repressed and pushed into the unconscious. Jung called this the shadow, and this is where the true quest for your true self begins. But be careful, what is hidden in the shadow is not always easy to face. Are you ready to discover? Then continue with me. If you find this content valuable, click the subscribe button and subscribe to the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. If the persona is the mask you wear to gain acceptance, then the shadow is everything you hide to avoid rejection. But here's the catch. What you bury deep inside doesn't simply vanish. Instead, it grows stronger within your unconscious, lurking in the hidden corners of your mind. It quietly shapes your emotions, fuels your fears, and even steers the decisions you make, often without you even realizing it. Carl Jung called this the shadow, the concealed side of the psyche. It's made up of all the parts of yourself that you have repressed over the years. Forbidden desires, anger you push down, weaknesses you refuse to acknowledge, painful traumas you tried to forget. What's even more surprising is that many things locked away in your shadow aren't inherently bad. They are simply parts of you that someone at some point in your life labeled as unacceptable. Think back, perhaps as a child your curiosity was too much for those around you, and you were told to be quiet and behave. Maybe you had moments of anger you were taught to suppress because expressing it was wrong. Or maybe you were sensitive, but society told you sensitivity was a weakness, so you learned to hide your feelings behind a stoic exterior. These parts of you didn't disappear. Instead, they were pushed into your shadow, waiting patiently for the right moment to make themselves known. And make no mistake, they do emerge. If you've ever lashed out in anger only to regret it later, felt jealousy towards someone and denied it, or reacted strongly to criticism without understanding why, then you have felt your shadow taking the reins. When left unacknowledged, the shadow shows up in distorted, destructive ways, undermining your relationships, your career, your self-worth. Yet here's a truth rarely spoken. Your shadow is not your enemy, far from it. Within the shadow lies some of your greatest strengths, your raw creativity, your deepest authenticity, your genuine power. You cannot become whole without embracing this hidden side. Integration of the shadow is essential if you want to truly know yourself. And that means stopping the endless running away and beginning the journey inward. But how do you confront something that has been locked away for so long? How do you bring your shadow into the light without being overwhelmed by it? The answer lies in a key principle of Jungian psychology: the self, the true core of who you are. And that's exactly where our exploration begins. The self is the totality of your being, the unifying center where your conscious and unconscious merge. It is the fullness of your identity, not just the parts you show the world, but the hidden facets you keep locked away. Jung believed that the journey toward the self is the most important quest of your life. It's about becoming whole by acknowledging and integrating all the fragmented parts within you, the persona, the shadow, and everything in between. When you meet your shadow with courage and compassion, it transforms. What once was a source of shame and fear becomes a wellspring of insight and strength. The shadow holds keys to your personal growth and healing. By facing your shadow, you reclaim the energy you wasted hiding and repressing it, and you unlock creative potential and a deeper sense of authenticity. This process is not easy. It demands honesty and vulnerability. It means confronting uncomfortable truths and embracing parts of yourself you might have long rejected. But it is the path to true freedom, freedom from the roles and masks that limit you, and freedom to live as your genuine self. Jung taught that the integration of the shadow is crucial to individuation, the process of becoming your unique self. Individuation is the lifelong journey of self-discovery and self-realization, where you weave together the conscious and unconscious threads of your psyche into a harmonious whole. It's about moving beyond the superficial layers of identity and touching the core of your being. In this journey, you might face resistance, fear, confusion, and even despair. The shadow is powerful because it holds what you have denied, and denial is a form of protection. But with patience and persistence, you can learn to listen to your shadow's messages rather than reject them. You'll discover that what you once feared holds the key to your deepest liberation. To begin, start by observing your emotional reactions and patterns. Notice moments when you feel triggered, ashamed, or defensive. These are often signs of your shadow speaking up. Reflect on the parts of yourself you avoid or dislike. What are you hiding from? What stories about yourself have you accepted without question? By shining light on these areas, you create space for healing and integration. Remember, the self is not a distant ideal, but a living reality within you. It's the voice of your true nature guiding you toward wholeness. By embracing your shadow and weaving it into your conscious awareness, you step into a more authentic, empowered version of yourself. So ask yourself, are you ready to face your shadow, to explore the parts of you you've kept in darkness? This isn't just about self-acceptance, it's about transformation. It's the gateway to reclaiming your soul and living a life of true meaning. The persona is what you show the world. The shadow is what you hide. But the self is who you truly are, waiting patiently for you to come home. And that is what we will explore next. The human mind isn't limited to what we think, what we say, or even what we know about ourselves. What we see on the surface, our rational thoughts, our daily choices, our logical plans, is only a tiny fraction of our psyche. Beneath that surface lies something vast, hidden, and incredibly powerful, the unconscious. Carl Jung believed that if we truly wish to discover the self, our deepest identity, we can't just analyze our thoughts or reflect on our actions. That's only scratching the surface. We have to go deeper, much deeper. We must descend into the unseen, into the realm where our forgotten, repressed, and inherited psychological material lives. That is the unconscious, and within it are the hidden patterns that quietly shape who we are. So what exactly lives in this mysterious inner world? At first, we may find our personal shadow, the desires we've denied, the emotions we've pushed away, the memories we've tried to forget. But Jung went even further. He realized that beyond this personal layer lies something even more profound, the collective unconscious. Unlike the personal unconscious, which holds your own individual experiences, the collective unconscious is universal. It's shared by every human being, regardless of culture, language, or background. It is the deep psychic blueprint we're all born with. And from this collective unconscious emerge what Jung called archetypes, primordial images and universal patterns that influence the way we think, feel, and act. You may not be able to see them directly, but you've encountered them your whole life. They appear in the stories that move you, in the myths that resonate across generations, in the symbols that haunt your dreams, and in the emotions that rise. Without explanation, archetypes are the unseen architecture of the human experience, and whether you're aware of them or not, they're shaping your reality. Take the hero, for example, an archetype found in nearly every culture. The hero is the one who sets off on a journey, faces trials, overcomes darkness, and returns transformed. It's the myth of the warrior, the savior, the seeker. But that's only one aspect of the inner cast. There's also the wise wise old man or woman, the figure of knowledge, intuition and insight. There's the rebel, the one who challenges the system, questions norms, and breaks down structures. And then there's the caregiver, the nurturer, who lives to protect, heal, and serve others. These are not roles we consciously choose. They rise within us. They shape the way we relate to others, the choices we make, and even the crises we go through. Most of the time, we don't even notice. The hero may push you to always stay strong, always fight, always win. But what happens when you're tired? What happens when you need help? If you identify only with the caregiver, you might spend your life putting everyone else first. Constantly giving, never receiving. Eventually, you burn out. You feel invisible, depleted, lost. That's the danger. When you become too attached to a single archetype, you unconsciously reject the others. You cut yourself off from vital parts of your being, and slowly, you drift further from your true self. To become whole, to live in alignment with your deepest nature, you must integrate these archetypes. That doesn't mean suppressing any of them. It means recognizing their presence, understanding how they play out in your life, and finding balance among them. But how do you even begin to do that? Start by paying attention to your dreams, your emotional triggers, your repeating patterns. Jung believed that the unconscious speaks to us in symbols, in metaphors, and in behaviors that don't always make logical sense. Your dreams aren't just random, they're messages. Your intense reactions to situations or people are not always about them. They're signals from your unconscious, pointing towards something unresolved within you. The archetypes act as bridges between your conscious self and the vast unconscious. When they are ignored, they turn into shadows, taking over your behavior without your knowledge. But when they are acknowledged and embraced, they become allies, helping you navigate life with clarity and authenticity. This is what Jung called individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, not who the world expects you to be. Not who your parents told you to become, but who you are at the deepest, most honest level. Individuation is not a one-time event. It's a lifelong journey of integration, of embracing both your light and your darkness, of recognizing that you are not just one thing, you are many things, held together in one evolving self. And what if you ignore this journey? What happens to someone who refuses to look within, who lives only through their persona, their mask, and denies their shadow, their dreams, their deeper drives? The answer is psychological suffering. Anxiety without a cause, depression without explanation, feeling lost, numb, or constantly chasing something that never brings real satisfaction. These are the consequences of a life lived disconnected from the unconscious. A life where the archetypes rule from the shadows instead of serving from the light. Jung warned that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Think about that. How many times have you repeated patterns and called it bad luck? How many relationships have ended the same way? How many decisions have you made that felt out of your control? This isn't fate, it's unconscious programming. But here's the empowering truth. You can take back control. You can become the conscious author of your own story. And that begins by listening, by becoming aware of the symbols, the stories, the archetypes that are living within you. The journey to the self is not easy. It will challenge everything you thought you knew about yourself. It will bring you face to face with pain, fear, and uncertainty. But it will also awaken something else, something deeper, a sense of purpose, a feeling of inner alignment, a quiet, undeniable knowing that you are finally becoming who you were always meant to be. So ask yourself, are you ready to explore the unknown parts of your psyche, to embrace not just your persona, but also your shadow, your archetypes, and your entire unconscious mind? Because the truth is, the self is not something you find outside. It's not something you create or pretend to be. The self is already within you, waiting for you to remember. It's time to stop living through masks and start living through meaning. It's time to reclaim the hidden parts of your soul and come home to yourself. What happens when a person spends their entire life running from themselves, when they ignore the call of their inner world, avoid their shadow, cling to a false persona, and remain unaware of the archetypes silently shaping their every decision? Carl Jung was very clear on this. Avoiding the process of individuation doesn't protect you, it isolates you. It leads to a life lived in fragments, not wholeness. A life plagued by inner conflict, silent despair, and a haunting sense that something important is missing. Many believe that if they simply follow the rules, adhere to societal norms, meet expectations, behave as they should, they will live peacefully. But that peace is shallow. It's fragile, because beneath the surface of conformity, the true self remains unheard, unseen, and unfulfilled. And sooner or later the cracks begin to show. It might start quietly, with a sense of restlessness you can't explain, or it may erupt violently as a personal crisis, depression, burnout, or even physical illness. Jung understood something profoundly important. When the psyche is ignored, it doesn't go away. It speaks through suffering. Your body keeps the score. Your emotions become louder. The unconscious, though buried, always finds a way to surface. This is the danger of non-individuation. The longer you run from yourself, the more lost you become. Have you ever watched someone repeat the same mistakes over and over, unable to break the cycle? Perhaps you've done it yourself, falling into toxic relationships, sabotaging good opportunities, living with a nagging dissatisfaction no matter how much success you achieve. This isn't bad luck. It's not coincidence. It's your unconscious seeking expression through patterns, behaviors, and symptoms until you finally decide to listen. When you don't integrate what's hidden inside you, you become a puppet to it. The shadow takes the wheel, driving your choices from behind the scenes, and the more you ignore it, the more power it has over you. Another symptom of non-individuation is this: a life without vitality. You wake up, you go through the motions, you check the boxes, but you're not really there. There's no spark, no purpose, no real connection, just a silent drift through days that all look the same. Millions live like this. They wear smiles, they say the right things, but inside they feel hollow, not because they failed, not because they're broken, but because they've never asked the most important question: is this the life I chose, or the life I inherited? Jung called these people the crowd, not as a criticism, but as a warning, because when you surrender to the crowd, you give up your individuality, you lose your voice, your inner compass, and you begin to wither, spiritually, emotionally, even physically. But perhaps the most dangerous consequence of all is resentment. When someone suppresses their true self long enough, the soul begins to rebel. The anger starts to grow, not always loudly, not always visibly, but subtly, eating away from the inside. And here's the tragedy: that anger often doesn't have a clear target. So it gets projected outward, blaming others, institutions, society. Or worse, it turns inward, manifesting as self-hate, depression, or apathy. People start blaming their spouse, their job, the government, their childhood, anything but the real issue. They have abandoned themselves. They have spent so long pretending, pleasing, conforming, that they've forgotten who they are. This is psychological death. A state where the body continues, but the soul retreats. So what's the alternative? Is there a way out? Yes, but it demands courage. It demands the willingness to question everything you've been taught, to pull off the mask, step out of the role, and look directly into the mirror, no matter what you find. This is individuation, Jung's term for the process of becoming whole, not perfect, not accepted, but whole. It means facing the shadow instead of hiding it. It means recognizing your persona for what it is, a useful mask, but not your essence. It means acknowledging the archetypes moving through you and integrating them with awareness, not resistance. And here's the truth that changes everything: your wounds, your contradictions, your suppressed traits, they are not your enemies. They are your path. The process is painful. It's slow. It strips away illusions. But it's the only path that leads to authenticity. And what does that look like in practice? It means saying no when you've always said yes. It means honoring emotions you've been taught to silence. It means choosing a path that feels right to your soul, even if no one understands. It means breaking family patterns, releasing inherited trauma, and reclaiming your story. It's not about rejecting society. It's about no longer letting it define you. So now comes the most important question of all. What would your life look like if you stopped performing and started being? If you let go of the need to fit in, to be liked, to be perfect, what remains? Who is underneath all the roles? Who are you when no one is watching? This is the self the world needs. Not your mask, not your performance, your real self. You see, non-individuation is not just a personal tragedy, it's a collective one. A world filled with fragmented, disconnected people cannot heal, cannot grow, cannot evolve. But a world where individuals step into their wholeness, that's where true transformation begins. So the invitation is this: don't wait until suffering forces you to wake up. Don't wait for the crisis, the breakdown, the burnout. Start. Now turn inward. Listen, because everything you're searching for outside already lives within you. The peace you crave, the clarity you seek, the fulfillment you've never found. It's all on the other side of facing yourself. Individuation is not the easy path, but it is the only one that leads you home. Finding your true self. It's not a place you arrive at. It's not a single moment of clarity or some grand epiphany that changes everything overnight. No, becoming who you really are is a lifelong journey. It is not a straight path, but a winding road of self-confrontation, of shedding layers, of questioning everything you thought was you. It's not something you discover once and for all. It's something you continually uncover with every experience, every choice, every honest moment you have with yourself. This journey isn't about perfection or achieving some idealized version of yourself. It's about honesty, and that's exactly why it's so hard. Carl Jung understood this deeply. He knew that being your authentic self requires you to do what most people avoid for their entire lives: to face the parts of yourself you've been taught to hide, to look beneath the roles you've been playing and ask, who am I, really? And that's not easy. From the moment we're born, we're shaped. We're told what is acceptable, what is good, what we must be to receive love and approval. Slowly, subtly, we begin to wear masks. We become the polite one, the strong one, the successful one, the good child, the dependable friend. Over time, we forget that these were roles we were taught to play, not our true identity. We become actors in a script we never consciously chose. This mask, what Jung called the persona, becomes so familiar, so rewarded, that we begin to believe it is who we are. And challenging that illusion, it feels dangerous, like stepping into the unknown. But here's the truth. The mask may protect you, but it also imprisons you. And deep down, we all know this. That's why even in the midst of success, people feel empty. That's why we sabotage relationships, drift through life without meaning, or experience a growing sense of alienation from ourselves. Most people cling to their persona because they're afraid of what lies underneath. They're afraid that if they drop the act, they won't be loved. That if they face their shadow, they'll find something ugly, something unworthy. But Jung was clear. The shadow is not evil. It is simply the part of us that has been rejected, repressed, or ignored. And this is where the real work begins. The journey to your true self requires you to go where few are willing to go. It asks you to step into the dark corridors of your psyche, to face your hidden fears, your forgotten desires, your unhealed wounds. It requires you to confront the stories you were told about yourself and ask whether they were ever true. This is why most people avoid individuation, not because they're weak, but because they've been taught that staying safe is better than being whole. But staying safe comes at a price. When you refuse to look inward, when you bury your inner truth to maintain an image, you lose touch with life itself. You begin to live on the surface. You lose your depth, your vitality, your creative power. You become a stranger to yourself. And even though everything may look fine on the outside, career, family, friends, inside, you feel a haunting emptiness, a quiet knowing that this isn't really you, that somewhere along the way you got lost. True freedom, Jung taught, doesn't come from being accepted by the world. It comes from accepting yourself completely. That means not only embracing your strengths, your talents, your light, but also your flaws, your contradictions, your darkness. Because you are not just one thing, you are many. And the more you repress, the more fragmented you become. Wholeness does not mean perfection. It means integration. It means becoming aware of the archetypes that move within you, the hero, the rebel, the child, the sage, and letting them all have a voice. It means not being stuck in just one identity, but allowing yourself to evolve, to feel, to change. It means being real, but being real isn't easy. It means letting go of who you thought you were supposed to be. It means shedding the labels, the expectations, the performances. It means standing alone at times, saying things people won't understand, making choices that defy logic but feel right to your soul. It means being misunderstood and still choosing to be you. That takes courage, tremendous courage, because once you begin this path, there's no turning back. You begin to see the world differently. You begin to see yourself differently, and the life you once accepted as normal starts to feel unbearably small. But in that discomfort, something awakens, a deeper intelligence, a silent clarity, a power that doesn't need approval, that doesn't seek validation, that simply is. That is your true self. And so, I ask you, from one human being to another, are you ready? Are you ready to let go of the illusions, the conditioning, the masks? Are you willing to ask the hard questions? Whose life am I living? Who am I beneath the roles? What part of me have I buried so deep I almost forgot it existed? Because the truth is, you're not broken. You're not lost. You've just been distant from yourself, but you can return. You can begin the work of becoming whole, not tomorrow, not when it's convenient, now. And no, it won't be easy. You'll face resistance, both from the world and from within. You'll doubt yourself. You'll stumble. You'll be tempted to go back to the comfort of who you used to be. But stay with it, because what waits for you on the other side of that fear is something most people never touch, a life that is truly yours. So if this message resonates with something inside you, don't ignore it. Reflect, journal, ask, explore. And if you feel called, share your thoughts in the comments. Tell me, have you ever felt like you were living someone else's identity? What part of your true self are you beginning to reclaim? And most importantly, don't stop here, because this journey, this return to yourself, is just beginning. The next video will take you even deeper into the hidden architecture of your mind and help you unlock the unconscious forces shaping your story. You've taken the first step. Now keep going.